Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, the man who walked away from royal duties, the father fighting an extraordinary legal battle across continents, and the husband determined to protect his family at any cost, stands on the precipice of what could be the most significant victory in his years-long crusade for security. This isn't just another chapter in the ongoing saga between Harry and the British establishment. This is potentially the turning point that changes everything for his children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, and their relationship with the United Kingdom. The stakes have never been higher, the implications never more profound, and the outcome could reshape the very fabric of how this family navigates their dual existence between California's sunshine and British heritage. What we're witnessing right now is not simply a legal dispute about taxpayer-funded protection. It's a father's determination to ensure his children can safely experience the country of their birthright, a country their grandfather will one day rule, a country that remains half of their identity despite being thousands of miles from their Montecito home. The legal machinery is grinding forward, the arguments have been presented, and sources close to the situation suggest that Prince Harry may finally be approaching a resolution that could grant him exactly what he's been fighting for since he and Meghan Markle made that fateful decision to step back from royal life in early 2020. This potential victory carries weight far beyond courtrooms and legal precedents, because what we're really talking about here is whether two young children growing up in America will have the opportunity to know their father's homeland, to walk the same historic grounds their ancestors walked, to understand the complex legacy they've inherited, and to do all of this safely, without the constant shadow of security concerns that has kept them largely confined to the United States since their departure from royal duties. The background to this legal battle stretches back to February 2020, when the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, known by the acronym RAVEC, made the controversial decision to change Prince Harry's security arrangements following his decision to step back as a working member of the royal family. That decision effectively stripped Harry of the automatic right to police protection when visiting the United Kingdom, instead placing him in a category where security would be determined on a case-by-case basis depending on the nature of his visit and the perceived threat level. For Prince Harry, this wasn't acceptable, not because of personal pride or entitlement, but because he genuinely believes, and has consistently argued, that without proper security, he cannot safely bring his wife and children to the United Kingdom. The threat is real in Harry's assessment, shaped by the tragic death of his mother, Princess Diana, who died in a car crash while being pursued by paparazzi in Paris in 1997, an event that traumatized the young prince and fundamentally shaped his views on privacy, media intrusion, and the absolute necessity of professional security. Harry has been abundantly clear in court documents, interviews, and public statements that he considers the UK too dangerous for his family without proper police protection, citing specific threats he's received, the level of public interest in him and his family, and the hostile media environment that he believes puts them at genuine risk. The legal challenge Harry mounted against the Home Office decision has been winding through the British court system with all the complexity and procedural deliberation that characterizes such high-stakes litigation. He initially lost a significant ruling when a judge determined that the decision to alter his security arrangements was not unlawful, a blow that seemed to validate the government's position that Harry, as a non-working royal living abroad, was not entitled to the same level of protection as working members of the royal family. However, Prince Harry refused to accept that judgment as final, and he appealed the decision, demonstrating the same determination that has characterized his approach to media litigation, mental health advocacy, and his broader mission to protect his family from what he perceives as the same forces that contributed to his mother's death. The appeal process has been ongoing, and according to recent reports from Radar Online and other sources familiar with the legal proceedings, there are indications that Prince Harry may be on the verge of securing a significant win, a development that could fundamentally alter the security landscape for his family when they visit the United Kingdom. What exactly would this victory mean in practical terms? If Prince Harry succeeds in his appeal and the courts rule that the decision to downgrade his security was indeed unlawful or that he is entitled to police protection when in the UK, it would remove the single biggest obstacle that has prevented Archie and Lilibet from spending meaningful time in their father's homeland. Prince Harry has been remarkably open about his desire for his children to know the United Kingdom, to understand their British heritage, to have relationships with their cousins, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, and to experience the places and traditions that shaped their father. However, he has been equally clear that he will not bring them to the UK without what he considers adequate security, which in his view means protection provided by the Metropolitan Police, professionals who have access to intelligence, resources, and coordination capabilities that private security simply cannot match, regardless of how much money he's willing to spend on private protection services. The current situation has created a painful stalemate where Harry's children, now aged 5 and 3 respectively, have barely spent any time in the United Kingdom, with Lilibet having visited only once for the late Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee celebrations in June 2022, and both children having remarkably limited exposure to half of their heritage. The implications of a legal victory extend far beyond logistics and security protocols. What we're really discussing is the possibility of healing, reconciliation, and the gradual rebuilding of family relationships that have been fractured by geography, disagreement, and years of public conflict. If Archie and Lilibet can safely spend extended periods in the United Kingdom, it opens up possibilities that currently seem almost unimaginable given the current state of affairs. They could develop real relationships with their grandfather, King Charles III, who by all accounts is eager to know his grandchildren better despite the complicated relationship with his younger son. They could spend time with their aunt and uncle, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and build bonds with their cousins that currently exist only through video calls and the occasional photograph. They could visit the places their father loves, from the wild landscapes of Scotland to the historic sites of London, from the coastal beauty of Cornwall to the rolling countryside that Harry has described with such affection in his memoir and interviews. They could attend family gatherings, participate in traditions, and slowly begin to understand the unique position they hold as members of one of the world's most famous families, even if they're growing up thousands of miles from the center of royal life. The security issue has been one of the most contentious aspects of Harry and Meghan's departure from royal duties, entangled with questions of taxpayer funding, risk assessment, and the fundamental question of what the royal family and the British government owe to members of the family who have chosen to step away from official duties but remain in the line of succession and continue to attract enormous public interest. The British government's position has been that individuals who are not working royals and who spend most of their time living abroad should not receive automatic police protection funded by UK taxpayers, and that security should be provided on a case-by-case basis when circumstances warrant it. Prince Harry's position has been that the threat level he faces has not diminished simply because he's no longer a working royal, that his profile and the interest in his family actually creates security challenges that are equal to or greater than those faced by some working royals, and that the decision to downgrade his security was influenced by improper considerations and failed to adequately assess the genuine risks his family faces. The broader context includes Prince Harry's well-documented concerns about media intrusion and what he characterizes as a dangerous and sometimes unethical British press environment. He has been involved in multiple legal cases against British newspapers, securing significant victories including settlements from News Group newspapers and Mirror Group newspapers over phone hacking and unlawful information gathering. His view, consistently expressed, is that the same media organizations and practices that contributed to his mother's death continue to operate, and that without proper security, his family is vulnerable to intrusion, harassment, and potentially dangerous situations created by aggressive paparazzi and media pursuit. This isn't theoretical concern for Harry, it's rooted in lived experience, from watching his mother's relationship with the media throughout his childhood, to the circumstances of her death, to his own experiences of media intrusion throughout his life, and particularly the treatment of his wife Meghan during their time as working royals. Meghan Markle's perspective on UK visits has also been shaped by security concerns alongside her own difficult experiences with British media and what she has described as lack of protection from the institution of the monarchy during her time as a working royal. In their explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey in March 2021, both Harry and Meghan discussed feeling unsupported and unprotected, with Meghan revealing the toll that media scrutiny and alleged lack of institutional support took on her mental health. The security issue became even more pointed when Harry revealed that he was told at one point that his security arrangements would be changed, which he learned through media reports rather than through official channels, adding to his sense that proper consideration was not being given to the genuine risks his family faces. For Meghan, the question of returning to the UK is complicated not just by security logistics but by the trauma of her experience as a working royal, the ongoing legal battles with media organizations, and her assessment of whether she and her children would be safe and welcome. The children themselves represent the most poignant dimension of this entire situation. Prince Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor, born in May 2019, and Princess Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor, born in June 2021, are growing up in an entirely different environment than their father experienced. They're being raised in the privacy and sunshine of Montecito, California, attending local schools, playing on California beaches, and living a life that Harry has described as giving them the freedom and normalcy he never had as a child. However, this comes at the cost of connection to half of their heritage, to their British family, to the history and traditions that are part of their birthright regardless of where they're growing up. Harry has spoken emotionally about wanting his children to know where he comes from, to understand the history of their family, and to have relationships with their British relatives, but he has been unwavering in his position that this can only happen if their safety is guaranteed through proper security arrangements. The timing of this potential legal victory is particularly significant given the ages of the children and the broader trajectory of the Sussex family's relationship with the United Kingdom and the royal family. Archie is now at an age where he's beginning to understand more about his family's unique position, and Lilibet, while still very young, is developing her own personality and awareness. If security arrangements can be resolved, it would open a window of opportunity during their childhood years to establish connections and create memories in the UK that could form the foundation for their relationship with that part of their heritage as they grow older. Without resolution of the security issue, there's a real risk that the children could grow up feeling completely disconnected from their British identity, knowing the United Kingdom only through stories and video calls rather than lived experience. King Charles III's role in this situation adds another layer of complexity and emotion. By all accounts, the king is deeply saddened by the distance from his younger son and the limited contact with his grandchildren. Reports have consistently suggested that Charles wishes to have a closer relationship with Archie and Lilibet, and that he's made efforts to maintain connection despite the geographical distance and the strained relationship with Harry. A resolution to the security issue could potentially open pathways for reconciliation between father and son, grandfather and grandchildren, in ways that currently seem blocked by practical obstacles layered on top of emotional ones. The king's position is delicate, as he must balance his personal desires as a father and grandfather with his constitutional role and the advice he receives from government and security officials, but there are indications that he would welcome more frequent visits from Harry and his family if security arrangements could be worked out. The relationship between Prince Harry and his brother, Prince William, now the Prince of Wales, represents perhaps the most painful casualty of the events of recent years. Once extraordinarily close, the brothers have become estranged, with their relationship described in Harry's memoir, Spare, as fraught with tension, disagreement, and at times physical confrontation. The security issue and the question of whether Harry's children can safely visit the UK is entangled with this brotherly rift, because any real reconciliation or restoration of relationship between the brothers would be facilitated by Harry, Meghan, and the children being able to spend time in the UK. The cousins, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, are growing up alongside Archie and Lilibet but without the opportunity to develop real relationships, a situation that seems tragic given the closeness that Harry and William once shared and presumably would have wanted for their children. The financial dimension of the security battle should not be overlooked. Prince Harry has offered to pay for police protection out of his own pocket, a proposal that was rejected, with officials indicating that Metropolitan Police officers are not available for private hire in that manner. This rejection reinforced Harry's legal challenge, as it demonstrated that regardless of his willingness to bear the financial burden himself, the system as currently structured would not allow him to obtain the level of security he believes is necessary. Private security, which Harry does employ when in the UK, is in his assessment insufficient because private security personnel lack access to intelligence, cannot carry certain equipment that police can, and do not have the coordination with other agencies that police protection provides. The cost of Harry's legal battles has been substantial, both financially and emotionally, but he has persisted in a way that makes clear this is about principle and protection rather than pride or privilege. Public opinion on Harry's security battle is divided, reflecting the broader polarization that surrounds the Sussexes. Some view his fight as a reasonable request from a father concerned about his children's safety, particularly given the documented threats the family has received and the genuine risks associated with their high profile. Others view it as an example of entitlement, arguing that Harry cannot expect taxpayer-funded security when he's chosen to step away from royal duties and live abroad, and that millions of people around the world manage security concerns without police protection. The British tabloid media, with which Harry has such a contentious relationship, has generally framed the security battle in negative terms, questioning his motives and criticizing the cost of his legal challenges. However, Harry's supporters point out that the threats he faces are real and documented, that his concerns are rooted in the trauma of his mother's death, and that asking for security when visiting his home country with his family is not unreasonable given his unique circumstances. If Prince Harry does secure a victory in his appeal, the practical arrangements would still need to be worked out regarding how security would be provided, funded, and coordinated during UK visits. The precedent it would set could have implications for other members of the royal family and for how security is allocated more broadly. However, the immediate and most important impact would be the removal of the barrier that has prevented Harry from bringing his children to the UK with any regularity. We could potentially see the Sussex family spending extended periods in Britain, perhaps during school holidays, allowing the children to develop relationships with their British family and experience their heritage firsthand. Frogmore Cottage, which was their UK residence before being asked to vacate it, is no longer available to them, so arrangements would need to be made for accommodation, but these are solvable logistical issues once the fundamental security question is resolved. The emotional toll of this prolonged battle on Prince Harry himself should not be underestimated. In interviews and in his memoir, he has been open about his struggles with mental health, the trauma he carries from his mother's death, and the anxiety he experiences about history repeating itself with his own family. The security battle is not abstract for Harry, it is intensely personal and tied to his deepest fears about losing the people he loves. A legal victory would not erase years of conflict or instantly heal family rifts, but it would remove a significant source of stress and potentially allow him to feel that he can bring his family to the UK without putting them at risk, something he has clearly desperately wanted but felt unable to do under current arrangements. Looking ahead, if the security issue is resolved, we might witness the beginning of a gradual thawing in relationships and the start of a new chapter where the Sussex children have a genuine connection to both sides of their heritage. They could attend family celebrations, spend holidays in the UK, and gradually come to understand and appreciate the unique history they're part of. This doesn't mean that all tensions would disappear or that Harry and Meghan would return to royal duties, but it would open possibilities that currently seem foreclosed. The children's relationship with their heritage, their British family, and their understanding of who they are would be enriched by regular time in the UK rather than growing up knowing Britain only through video calls and stories. Whether this potential victory materializes remains to be seen as the legal process reaches its conclusion, but the signs suggest that Prince Harry may finally be on the verge of achieving what he's fought for over these long and difficult years, the ability to bring his children home safely and give them the gift of knowing all of who they are and where they come from. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Do you think Prince Harry should win his security battle, and if he does, will it lead to reconciliation with the royal family, or is the damage already too deep to repair? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe, like, share this video with fellow royal watchers, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on this developing story, because this saga is far from over and you'll want to stay informed as events continue to unfold.